the price of a spare engine and gearbox, which they may have to import fairly quickly. Oh, there's Mark Comer on the beach. Official timekeeper. So, this morning, it was an early start. If you start early, you're going to finish late, that's for sure. On the Dakar, loose connector on the road book for Cyril Desprez. Franz Verhoeven was busy helping. And Franz saying yesterday the road book reader was working badly. And this morning, it doesn't work at all. So he's going to have to scroll it by hand. That's a nightmare situation. Always helmet on, please, everybody. Anyway, so off he pops. And it meant that he had to scroll that by hand. And when you know that he finished today's stage in second place, that is unbelievable. Yes, it is. So leaving the mint tea and the pine nuts behind, it was time after that very light breakfast to get underway as the sun came up. It was quite still out there in the morning, as you can see. It meant that the dust didn't really disperse, and all of a sudden you were going into a shroud of what looked like mist, but was in fact kicked up dust by those in front of you. Best place to be then, in such circumstances, out front. And he may well have been scrolling by hand on his road book, but he looked pretty good. Cyril Desprez, a real star. He's looked absolutely miserable over the last few days because he knows, realistically, he's not going to catch Coma unless something dramatic happens. Could be a gearbox, could be anything. They never speak to each other when they get to this part. They're in different teams, and they're arch rivals, naturally enough. Cyril just ripping off the bits that had gone before, getting ready to scroll it once again. Difficult when you're wearing those protective bike gloves as well. Fat fingers don't help. You've got to turn a little screw like that. As for Mark Comer, he was just cruising today. Had to, I suppose. It was marathon stage, looking after that gearbox and particularly the clutch, which seems to have let down a lot of the top bikes. It is still in the final phases of development, this machine, I suppose you could say. It's happened before for KTM, remember, back in '99. They want the very best for their riders. That's what they try and give them. Palander's Oliver Seller surely going to get an official ride next year. He's on a KTM this year, but he's a privateer. Finished 4th today, he's 5th in the overall rankings. Looks absolutely brilliant. Always a shock when the helmet comes off. He's kind of a bluey white. Despite his antics in the desert. Not concerned about sartorial elegance whatsoever. All his concern is about the bike, which he tears it up. Jean de Azevedo, 5th on today's stage. Before the rest day was thrown way back overall because of mechanical problems. But in the last couple of days, the 32-year-old from Sao Paulo has been superb. Chris Blaise, he picked up a bonus of 13 minutes. Remember, he stopped to help Jordi Vierdoms. Well, he gave him back the time that he'd actually stopped. They check out the GPS and all your readings. Go back over the days, find out what's fair and what's unfair. So Chris Blaise is up to 4th in the rankings, and so he should be. And I hope, just hope, that he manages to get on the podium. It would be superb. So it was a long day. It was a hard day. David Castier, having worked a lot of the night on the bike of Esteve Puyol. Castier, he's a brilliant mechanic, finished 7th today. He's 3rd in the overall rankings. So it's take your pick time between Blaise and Castier for that coveted 3rd spot behind Desprez and Comer. Well, there were some kicks. Yeah, there were some kicks. Look at that. Some rocky bits. A lot of people think the desert is sand. Only about 20% of it is. Helder Rodrigo, Portugal, stage winner early on, had his troubles, and look at this. Yannis Vintas. Beg your pardon. It's Esteve Puyol with problems. It's Verhoeven, though, with his gearbox trouble. The main drive at the front. Well, Esteve Puyol had his gearbox problems yesterday with that first gear trouble. Today he was 8th, he's 6th in the overall rankings. Good for him. Verhoeven subject to the vagaries of the KTM gearbox once more. It's a shame for him. He was looking good. Well, there was a bit of navigation out there today. Ella Rodrigue, stage winner early on for Portugal, finished 9th, 17th in the overall standings now. What about Yanis Vintas? Wonderful scenery captured by the choppers today. Some of those rocks look like they've only just fallen. Bit of a thump in the night when that happens. Well, Yanis Vintas, why I mention him? Because he won the stage. Unbelievable by the Latvian. First home, first stage win. He knew it was good. Tremendous stuff. 8th in the overall ranking. Absolutely brilliant. At his tumble, still managed to pick himself up. And with his KTM 660, he brought in the stage win. Superb. Already won the Orient Rally, finished 10th overall last year. Wouldn't it be great if he did something similar this time around? Damaged his GPS system and his roadbook. It was worse still for Giovanni Sala. The bike was damaged, but so was Sala. Broken shoulder, and he's out. Sala, of course, one of those who was riding in the Repsol team as backup for Coma. That was heavy. Well, his nose was intact, but the shoulder damaged. Looked kind of rueful, really. How about that for carrying an injury? The sort of guy you want in the trenches with you. Amazing. So, Yanis Vintas, an unfamiliar flag, perhaps. You might be seeing an awful lot more of him in the future. He's a superb rider, and his countrymen aren't doing too bad in the cars either. Mark Coma, though, leading overall ahead of Desprez, and look at the margin, almost an hour. Oh, Yanis Vintas saying the stage was good, and to be honest, it was quite tough. Felt my hands getting tired, and fell at one time, but because I underestimated the weight of the bike with full tanks, but the sandy roads were kind and pleasant to me. Presumably I had a harder suspension setting than the others, and this was an advantage on the kind of piece that we had today. Good lad. Mark Coma says very long leg with a special stage of 500 kilometres, and even if it wasn't as difficult as yesterday, the track was sandy. With the wind in the past days, there were some sand dunes, sand tongues out there, which complicated the task. Navigation was okay. We had quite a decent pace, but I'm just glad to have finished and to be here. And David Castillo saying, very frustrating not being able to fully enjoy your bike. I know that I can suffer mechanical problems at any time, and I'm the only one there, together with Mark. Didn't break the gearbox yet, so we're the only ones who haven't broken the gearbox, so fingers crossed.